The most common and popular engine for the Opel Astra K is the 1.6 CDTI engine. This is already the own work of Opel engineers. These engines have nothing to do with either French or Italian diesel engines of the same volume. This engine has an aluminum cylinder block, sump and, of course, cylinder head. The most powerful version with 160 horsepower. Bitterbo. The single-chain timing drive is located on the flywheel side. The timing chain is considered the most important disadvantage of this engine. The point is that the chain begins to rattle. Moreover, according to some versions, the culprit of its roar is the tensioner. It does not create enough oil pressure for the timing chain to be properly tensioned. Therefore, the rattle of the chain appears after a cold start and disappears after 15 seconds. If you rev it up well, the chain will also go silent. Some owners disable the valve 12,636,425 that controls the oil pump's performance so that it always operates at the highest pressure setting. This also helps in calming the chain, but most often, owners decide to update the timing drive parts and at the same time change the oil pump chain. This chain does not have a hydraulic tensioner and often breaks. And here the main thing is to immediately turn off the engine. A message about low oil pressure appears almost instantly. In any case, to replace only the timing chain or both chains, you need to remove or at least hang the engine, disconnecting the gearbox. The original chain, 55,495,936, costs about $90. The tensioner, 55,505,562, costs $40. And 3 guides, 55,578,428, 55,573,867 and 55,573,868, cost $55. The oil pump chain, 12,636,528 or 12,656,073, and its damper, 55,593,246, together will cost about $100. This is a minimum set of spare parts for the timing drive only. If wear is detected on 3 timing chain sprockets, 55,500,069 or 55,500,071, 55,571,672 and 55,596,894. That's another $300 to $400. The most expensive sprocket is the lower, double one. It is driven by the crankshaft and drives the timing chain. Non-original high-quality timing chain repair kits for this engine with 3 sprockets cost from $300 to $580. At the same time, many more important parts will have to be changed, such as the valve cover gasket, 55,571,587, and fireproof washers, 55,590,468, under the injectors. Shaft seals, about 20 positions in total. By the way, it is worth replacing the 2 rubber rings, 55,577,121, 55,491,464, that seal the oil channels above the oil pump. Such a complex operation has to be carried out on engines with a real mileage of about 200,000 kilometers as noise appears from the timing chain. And it's better not to delay this, because, due to poor tension, the chain will begin to touch its casing, it will plant aluminum shavings, and then either jump or break. By the way, to replace the timing chain you do not need any special equipment, because there are marks on the sprockets on the chain, and the exhaust camshaft is fixed using the traditional method, with a drill through the holes in the cylinder head casting and in its gear. Let us add that the problem with the timing chain tension of the 1.6 CDTI engine appeared very early and sadly, so there are often Opel Astra K copies on which the engine was replaced by the dealer under warranty. There should be notes about this in the service book. Otherwise, the 1.6 CDTI engines perform well. There are little things like a faulty electric vacuum valve, 55,576,356, for controlling the geometry of the turbine or a leaky intercooler. Few people pay attention to the fact that the 1.6 CDTI engine is equipped with a Denso fuel system. So far there are no complaints against it and the injectors last more than 300,000 kilometers. New injectors 95,521,531 or 95,521,533, cost about $500, but used ones are 5 times cheaper. A new injection pump, 55,495,426, HU 294,440, costs more than $1,500. But all these parts can be found at car dismantling yards and cost around $100 a piece. 1.5 diesel 105 horsepower, F15 DVC, 1.5 diesel 122 horsepower, F15 DVH. After restyling, the Opel Astra K received a completely new turbo diesel. It has a working volume of 1.5 liters. And this is an inline 3 with a balancer, an alloy cylinder block, a plastic valve cover and a plastic pan. The timing drive of this engine is also chain-driven, but is located in front, on the pulley side. This engine has a good reputation so far, i.e. it has no obvious serious problems, although it has been in operation for about 3 years. However, there are no spare parts for repairs. For example, the timing chain, 55,486,386, is only available to order at a price of about $300. There are approximately 4 to 5 times fewer cars with gasoline engines than with diesel engines. Although Opel engineers tried their best to create economical and reliable gasoline turbo engines. In addition, such versions are initially cheaper than diesel ones. 1.0 Ecotec 90 horsepower D10 XFL, 1.0 Ecotec 105 horsepower B10 XFL, 1.0 Ecotec 105 horsepower D10 XFL. The base engine was a 3-cylinder, 1-cylinder turbo. 4 plus 101 horsepower B14Z, 1.4 CNG 110 horsepower B14 XNT, 1.4 Ecotec 125 horsepower B14 XFL, B14 XFL, 1.4 Ecotec 150 horsepower B14 XFT, B14 XFT. 1.4-liter engines were also offered, including a naturally aspirated version and an option with factory equipment to run on compressed gas. 1.6 Ecotec 200 horsepower B16 SHT/D16 SHT. The 1.6-liter turbo engine, which has been produced since 2010, is very rare. 1.2 turbo 110 horsepower F12 SHL, 1.2 turbo 130 horsepower F12 SHT, 1.2 turbo 145 horsepower F12 SHR. After restyling, namely from August 2019, the Opel Astra K finally switched to 3 cylinders. The new 1.2-liter turbo engine, like the 1.5-liter diesel, is also 3-cylinder. All these engines do not cause problems. Chain motors, i.e. working volumes of 1.0, 1.4 and 1.6 liters will require changing the timing chain. The chains last about 200,000 kilometers. On the completely new 1.2-liter engine, the timing mechanism is driven by a toothed belt, 55,489,418. There are no complaints about these engines. They did not have to be massively replaced under warranty, like the 1.6-liter turbo diesel. They do not break even now. Having run over 200,000 kilometers, the Astra K's gearboxes are pretty good. It is curious that the old 5-speed F17 manual transmission is installed in tandem with the 1-liter engine. 6-speed transmissions are M22 or M32, available in conjunction with engines from 1.2 to 1.6 liters. The Opel Astra K has mechanical problems. 6T45 6-speed automatic transmission. Before restyling, cars with 1.4 and 1.6-liter engines were optionally equipped with a 6-speed torque converter automatic transmission 6T45. This controversial transmission has been produced since 2008, but before its appearance on the Astra K, it went through all possible improvements and still pleases with adequate reliability. So that it does not fail, you need to partially change the oil in it. The oil is drained from below, filled from above through the breather. The level is controlled through the side plug. A partial replacement takes about 4 liters of ATF Dexron 6, 9T45 9-speed automatic transmission. After restyling, the partner of the new 3-cylinder turbo diesel became a completely new 9-speed automatic transmission 9T45. It is based on a 6-speed sibling, so it has no problems with reliability. Although it may be too early to talk about this, because this transmission has appeared on GM cars since 2018. The recommendations are the same: partial replacement of ATF type Dexron 6 every 60,000 kilometers, VT40/CVT250, from August 2019 with a 1.4 turbo 145 horsepower engine. GM's own CVT became available. The Chevrolet Malibu also received the same CVT. At the moment, this CVT seems quite reliable. If we talk about cars imported from Europe, then almost certainly many childhood problems of this variator were solved under warranty. It is possible and necessary to change the ATF with CVTF NS3/J4 approval and the filter, 24,290,959. Let's start right away with the weak points in the suspension. With a mileage of more than 150,000 kilometers, the front shock absorber boots simply tear along the circumference. Anthers cost between $8 and $15 each, $13,363,695. The rear suspension of these cars always has a torsion beam, which in most cases is equipped with a Watt mechanism. Yes, there are cars without additional traction. The silent block, $13,332,257, located in the middle between Watt's rods, begins to knock at 200,000 kilometers. It costs from $20 to $80. Otherwise, there is nothing to break in the rear suspension. There are not even stabilizer struts. Rear shock absorbers cost from $60 to $110. Original ones cost more than $250, $39,039,583. Rear wheel bearings are expensive. Non-original ones cost up to $180, while original ones cost more than $500, $13,507,454. Let's return to the front suspension. Front shock absorbers cost from $110 to $160 for non-original ones, and branded ones cost about $380, $13,453,360. Support bearings cost between $60 and $150, $13,377,814. Original steel levers, $39,089,344, with a non-removable ball joint. They are very difficult to buy, and the price of more than $650 is off-putting. We did not find any offers from famous manufacturers. A harsh non-original one costs about $90 for one lever. You can buy the rear silent blocks, $39,001,027, for these levers separately. The original costs about $120, $150. There are name brand substitutes for $25. Original front stabilizer struts will cost $50, $39,064,480, and replacements will cost from $10 to $35. The front stabilizer bushings, $39,005,088, are not sold separately, but replacements are available for $5, $10. Front wheel bearings, $13,510,543, cost from $60 to $180, and original ones cost more than $400 and are often only made to order. In general, the entire suspension lasts for more than 200,000 kilometers, except that the stabilizer struts will have to be changed every 80,000 kilometers.